A baby lies still on the operating table. The monitors show nothing. Time feels endless. And then suddenly the baby gasps, cries, and comes back to life. What would you feel if you saw a real miracle happen? For 20 years, I lived inside a world where the scalpel was my God, medical journals were my scripture, and the bright, sterile operating theater of St. Thomas Hospital in London felt like the only place where truth existed. I didn't believe in miracles, souls, or anything unseen. To me, human beings were simply biological machines of carbon, water, and electricity. Love was dopamine, fear was cortisol, and death was nothing more than a power outage. My name is Dr. Elizabeth Sterling, one of the UK's leading obstetricians. The awards on my wall, the penthouse overlooking the Thames, and the reputation of the doctor who never lost a patient made me walk the hospital halls with the arrogance of someone who thought she controlled life. But all of that confidence shattered the night a young mother named Amina arrived during a violent November rainstorm, bleeding out from a severe placental abruption. The ward was chaos, alarms screaming, blood pressure crashing, a baby suffocating. I barked orders and moved with my usual precision, but something unexpected made me pause. Amina's husband, Ahmed. While most fathers break down, he stayed calm, holding her hand and whispering soft Quranic verses with a steady faith I couldn't understand. When he told me, "Do your best, we trust in Allah's plan," I felt anger rise inside me. In my mind, my scalpel was the only plan they had. But even with everything I did in surgery, the baby came out blue, limp, and silent. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 4, long enough for irreversible brain damage. My science told me the baby was gone. My training told me to stop. But something in me, something I had buried for decades, rose up when I looked at that tiny, lifeless body. I silently begged, "If you exist, breathe life into him, because I can't." And then it happened. A twitch, a gasp, and suddenly a loud, furious cry filled the room as color rushed back into his skin. Everyone froze. The nurses cried. My hands shook. Medically, it should have been impossible. But he was alive, alive in a way no textbook could explain. When everything stabilized, I walked out expecting to find Ahmed in panic, but instead I found him kneeling in the hallway, forehead to the ground in prayer. When he saw me, he didn't rush toward me or demand answers. He simply smiled with a peace I had never seen in my life. He already knew his son was crying. When I told him it was a miracle and that we had lost the baby for 4 minutes, he gently replied, "Doctor, you treated him, but God cured him. You are the hand, but he is the mover." For the first time in 20 years, I had no argument. I had done everything, and yet I had failed. Something beyond me had intervened in that room. When I asked him how he could stay so calm when he almost lost everything, his answer cut straight through me. This baby is a trust from Allah. If he takes him, he is wise. If he lets him stay, he is merciful. Either way, we are content. That word, content, followed me home. I had wealth, status, and the best view in London, yet I had never felt content a single day in my life. But a taxi driver sitting in a plastic hospital chair had found peace even in the face of death. That night, I walked into my library filled with expensive medical textbooks, books that explained the mechanics of how life works, but never explained why life matters. On impulse, I opened my laptop and searched Islamic view on embryology, expecting myths or superstition. Instead, I found verses of the Quran describing human development with a clarity that shook me to my core. For the first time in my career, I realized science could explain the process, but not the purpose. And that question, the one science could never answer, was the one that pushed me toward a truth I had spent my whole life refusing to see.